Welcome. I'm Jessica Lani Rich, host of Inspire You and Me. It's an inspirational show where we talk to people who are making a difference. On this week's show, we have the Vice President of the Kokua Council, Rick Tabor, customer service expert, Caron Lau, and K-pop entertainer, Mike Lee. And be sure to stay tuned for the Animal Lovers Clip of the Week. We'll have all that and more, and we'll be back right after this.
5914-777, 5914-777. Who's got the best deals in Vegas around? Who's got the good job? Call 5914-777 today. Vacations Hawaii. Vacations Hawaii. Vacations Hawaii. Good luck, we gon' play. 5914-777 today. Good luck, we gon' play.
We are very pleased to have as our special guest on the show, he is a mental health expert. Please welcome Rick Tabor. Welcome.
Well, thank you, Jessica. I appreciate you having me.
And I appreciate the fact that you're here. You are a mental health expert. You're also the Vice President of the Kokua Council. For those people who aren't familiar with that, share with us.
So the Kokua Council is the oldest advocacy group here in Hawaii for kupuna. So we get very active in looking at problems that are going on and doing testimony and helping with legislation around that, but also educating the community about things. So a number of stakeholders come from folks like Hawaii Meals on Wheels, Lanakila, all over the place, and kupuna as well. So we meet on the fourth Mondays, 11:30 to 1:30 every month.
In case there's somebody watching who does not live in Hawaii and they don't know what the word kupuna means, can you explain it?
So kupuna is basically seniors, it's your elders. So we're focused on elder care kind of issues.
You have an extensive career in mental health. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
So I basically, I'm a licensed mental health clinician, and I basically worked with folks from 2 years old to 102 most of my life. That's the thing with mental health. You basically can focus with on anyone. Yeah. So my career actually started here. I was stationed here in 1976 at Kaneohe Marine Corps Air Station. I was a Navy hospital corpsman. Wow. I joined with the concept of saving lives rather than taking lives. That's always been kind of how I focused on this. And to learn patient care. And magically I ended up being in charge of the mental health clinic at the Kaneohe Marine Corps Air Station. So I was Navy hospital corpsman, but I was field med. And so I literally have been doing crisis kind of work all my life.
Yes, and so let's talk a little bit about the elderly. And there's a lot going on in the world right now. People are concerned about the coronavirus. They're concerned about their finances. What kind of advice can you give to people who are really just dealing with this ongoing stressful situation?
Sure. So the coronavirus is really a pretty unique situation. We've never dealt with this probably in the entire world in our lifetimes. Maybe older generation, maybe some of our kupuna have, I don't know, I have to think about that. The main thing with any crisis is we have to stay calm. Remaining calm, and the most important thing is to gather factual information. I always say we can be a victim or we can actually take charge of life. And in taking charge of life, you can calm the situation. Get the facts. Make sure you're listening to reliable information. Check it, dispute it, sort it out. And come up with a plan for yourself, for your family, for your elder, your kupuna. And put that into action. I mean, so the top thing is wash your hands, right? 20 seconds, yes. Happy birthday twice. We're moving on to different songs now because many of us are kind of bored with the happy birthday.
Right, happy
staying
birthday
alive.
To you. I thought staying alive was first aid, right?
Right, exactly. But no problem is solved through emotions. You have to calm the emotions to work things out.
Rick, what I'm hearing from you is if you're in a situation where, let's say, everybody is panicking and they're really stressed out, if you remain calm and share that calmness with others, that is a very good skill to deal with stress.
I tend to, so I've done crisis work all my life. So when things get really critical, most people, my wife always notices, I get calmer. My getting calmer actually brings it down. I happen to have a fairly soothing voice, so if I can keep it soothing, I can bring things down. So somebody could be yelling and screaming, right? I know that that's an issue, so we need to get to the point that we're not yelling and screaming, because we're not going to work it out otherwise. It's like we teach our kids to take time outs. While some people use it as punishment, it's actually a teaching tool. When we're stressed, we want to take a break. Same for us adults. We want to model that. When we can come back together and we can talk calmly, then we do. Now, some are not going to be able to do that, so we just need to recognize that. So then we need to plan for them to keep things calmer.
Absolutely. Now, you were talking about stress and handling difficult situations. Let's talk about the caregiver, the person who helps the elderly person. You know, they're balancing taking care of their work, their family, and then taking care of their senior parent. What sort of advice can you give to those people who are caregivers? Because you have a lot of experience as a caregiver.
Yeah. So I'm also a champion with Alzheimer's Association, and some of our stats tell us that 29,000 of our islanders are diagnosed with dementia. 65,000 family members are taking care of them because they can't afford the in-home care that I used to work with. The caregiver, I was just reading a stat, about a third of caregivers actually pass away before the person they're caring for.
I didn't know that.
Because they don't take care of themselves.
Oh, I didn't know.
So the first tip to a caregiver is to take care of yourself first. You have to be well to take care of somebody that's not. It's a lot of work. Reaching out and getting support. I would say that the one thing that we have here in Hawaii that's very unique, and other places have this, but we are very fortunate. There are a lot of support groups out there. Kokua Council is a support group. Alzheimer's Association offers a lot of support. The various, just get connected. Getting connected with others is very important. I know people are going to say we don't have time. It's pretty simple, though. Many of it you can actually just webinar into. You can actually just Skype into. You can actually watch these things. You can actually call, get support over the phone, those kinds of things. But being with people that have gone through stuff together really helps you join with folks that are just going through it, folks that have been through it, and find yourself within that. And same with the being calm, you can gather the information you need to kind of help.
The name of our show is Inspire You and Me. Rick, what inspires you?
Life inspires me. That's usually my answer. Everything I'm doing, service above self, being able to help people, that's what inspires me.
You have a wonderful message. In closing, Rick, what is it about you and how people can deal with stress that you'd like to share with us that you haven't already done?
Just be calm. Enjoy life. Life is what happens when you're busy making other plans.
That's what they say.
All right? And the main thing is be open, okay?
I can't help but think of that song, Don't Worry, Be Happy.
Very happy.
Although sometimes it's challenging too.
It is.
Rick, thank you so much for your very important message to bring calmness to the world, and keep doing what you're doing. You're making a great difference, and you are indeed an inspirational person. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jessica.
The law firm of Caron Lau is proud to sponsor Inspire You and Me, a show about people in our community who are making a difference. I'm Rick Freed, and our law firm of 16 attorneys handles major injury cases, choosing to devote our considerable talent and staff to those injured people and victims for whom we can make a great difference. We hope that you will be inspired to follow your dreams and find your purpose.
We are very excited to have as our special guest on the show. She is a customer service expert. And no matter what you do in life, you are probably doing some form of customer service. She's also a realtor. Please welcome Caron Lau. Welcome, Caron. You are a customer service expert, and it seems like no matter what any of us are doing in our lives, we are all performing some form of service to others. What makes one person above the rest, so to speak?
Well, I really believe it goes to whatever their mission is in life, in business, or their purpose. And so if they're really focused on people, then of course customer service comes to the forefront.
Caron, how did you get into real estate?
Well, I got into real estate because I read a book. It was called Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and of course if you read to the end, I only read half of it at the time, then you would find out that it's better to hire the expert than to be the expert. but it was by accident, and I think it was very fortuitous and very lucky.
So you teach customer service, and when I think about customer service, all of us have eaten in restaurants, and we all have the experience of, okay, is somebody gonna wait on my table or they're not gonna wait on my table, as opposed to someone who just shows up and just gives so much of themselves. What do you think the difference is in people who do, or even when we all go to retail stores, there are people who pay attention to us, and there are people, I found myself saying, hello, am I here? What makes a difference in those two?
I always feel that when you're having a conversation, even a one-to-one conversation, and the person, just like how our conversation is, and you're really listening to that person, that's really what customer service is. And so of course when you have the wait staff come and you can tell the difference between good service and not so good service, they really can kind of intuitively know what you need before you ask. And I think that's really important. I mean, that's so simple to remember, is just thinking, what would that person want right now before they're going to ask you.
You are a very successful real estate agent, but what do you think the reason is why some people are more successful than others?
I definitely think that's a great question. Sometimes I think it's because they know exactly who their niche is, what type of people to reach out to. So I know a realtor who is totally introverted, doesn't like to talk to people at all. And you think to yourself, how did that person become so successful? Well, he played up his strengths. So he actually has a website, and he has it where everything's automated. So he doesn't have to ever interact with people. So if I called him, he would say to me, why are you calling me, right? But he has tons of clients, and everybody loves him. And partly because his ex-wife is part of his team as well, and she is such a bubbly, great personality. So you just have to know your strengths and focus on that, as well as find somebody to help eliminate your weaknesses.
What are your strengths in helping other people?
Well, my strength, I feel, is being able to talk to a person, really understand and observe who they are at the core, and then find out. I guess puzzle solving is really my strength in customer services, because you're figuring something out in your head about all the information that you've received, and then finding a property to match your clients to the best of your ability. And most of my clients are like, this is their dream home, and I can tell by looking at them and by being in that moment with them, how they love the home and if that's the right one for them.
How did you get into customer service? And I think that that's an area that many of us, it doesn't matter what you're doing. I work helping visitors, for example, and you do have to listen to what other people are saying, and this is basically what your message is.
So my very first job was McDonald's, so I was in the service industry, and very few people know that, but I was 15, and you needed a worker's permit, so I wore a special blue hat and all of that. And I think I learned customer service through many different jobs and just observing and taking like a sponge, learning everything I could. So right before I started real estate and kind of in tandem, I decided I would work at Starbucks for an entire year.
Oh, wow.
Yes, because they were one of the top 100 places, according to Forbes magazine, to work for. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to know what it felt like to work for a great company. When I worked at Starbucks, the manager there, his name is John, and I think he's still the manager there. It was the #1 busiest Starbucks in the world at one point. I'm not sure if it was when I was there. And I learned a lot of things of how to take care of customers, greet them. And a lot of the customers would come up to me and say, we really appreciate you because when we come in, we know that you've paid attention and that you understand who we are. And because I know their coffee, right? So you can learn so much from working in a place like Starbucks.
Yeah, and also they always ask your name.
Yes.
It reminds me of the old Friends song, you want to go where everybody knows your name. Yeah. There is something magical about that when you walk into a room and someone says, hi, Caron, how are you? Caron, the name of our show is Inspire You and Me. What inspires you?
People inspire me. And I know that might be a little cheesy. I want to know what makes them tick. I want to know what makes them work and operate in the world. And I took a social psychology class for an executive program at Columbia University. They had that, and I thought, oh my gosh, this is what I do every day. This is what I love to do. is being able to talk to people, get to know them, and what makes them tick and what makes their heart sing.
In closing, what is it about you that you'd like us to know that you haven't already shared with us?
I think my favorite part of myself that I'd like to share, is my mission in life, which is to bring joy to everyone I meet, whether for a second or for a lifetime. And I feel that shows because one of the things I love to do, one of my higher values, is to appreciate people and to be helpful.
To bring joy to everybody you meet. Well, you have certainly brought joy to us and to me. It's a pleasure spending time with you, and I wish you continued success.
Thank you.
Unique, majestic, inspiring. Hawaii's hidden gem on the windward side. Just a short scenic drive will take you to one of the most extraordinary locations in the world. We specialize in conferences, meetings, retreats, business functions, social events, and off-premise catering. Delectable cuisine, stunning panoramic views, and excellence in first-class service. Let Caron Lau Ballrooms and Conference Center make your event a memorable experience.
We are very pleased to have as our special guest on the show. He is a man who is living his dream. Please welcome Mike Lee. Welcome, Mike.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Yes, you came highly recommended to be a guest on this show. And one of the reasons is that you are an entertainer and you trained as K-pop.
Yes.
Now, for those people who aren't familiar with K-pop, please describe it to us.
Basically, it's the pop industry. It's either as an artist, you could be a rapper, you could be a singer, entertainer, and so I did that for about 3 to 4 years in Korea, yeah.
So, Mike, what area of specialty are you in?
People know it as breakdancing, b-boying, breaking, there's a lot of different names, but basically people just think of people flipping around and spinning on their heads, but that's kind of what I do, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I think of. I think of these guys that spin around their head and their legs go up and down. But what got you into breakdancing?
It's actually pretty funny. My Sunday school teacher when I was in high school, he came to church one day and he's like, guys, I stayed up late. I didn't plan a lesson plan. Oh, but you want to learn how to dance? And he was into hip hop in the 80s when it was huge, that whole wave of DJing and breaking and all that. And so he introduced it to us, and he had a ministry for it before, and that's how we got into it. So, yeah.
So, Mike, how popular is breakdancing?
Right now, it is kind of in the middle. I'd say the mid-2000s it exploded because YouTube came out and it was all over the internet, and it grew from that. But right now, I'd say it's gonna start growing. It's been approved for the Paris 2024 Olympics.
Wow, no kidding. Are you gonna participate?
Oh, I will be a little older by then. Either I will participate or hopefully I can help younger kids or the generation. That's why there's a lot of people who want to learn now, yeah.
So you are also a breakdancer instructor?
Yes. I have a bunch of students in town that I work with, yeah.
And I have to ask you this, when I see those breakdancers spinning around, do you ever get a headache?
Only if I hit my head, but as far as spinning, we get used to the dizziness, we get used to, there's a lot of muscle memory and stuff, so I think over time, our bodies get pretty much privy to it, so yeah.
I think one of the reasons that you are such a special person is not only are you living your dream and doing what you love to do, breakdancing, but you also have some deep core family values. You are a waiter by day and a marvelous entertainer at night. You're living two different lives.
Yes.
So share with us about your family background.
The background is my grandmother actually grew up in the countryside where it's called Jeollado. It's just a part in Korea, town or city. And they grew their own crops and they would cook their food from that. And so it's very popular as far as, authentic Korean food. That's where she's from. And so she brought a lot of that here and that's implemented in the restaurant. So and family values Korean or Asian culture in general, it's very collective. And so everything is together, like everybody's there. My grandmother, my aunts, my cousins, we're all there. My mom, we're all there together.
Mike, one of the characteristics I noticed about you is you are such a caring person. I saw you work in the restaurant and you serve, you're of great service to everyone. And at night, you know, as I mentioned, you're a waiter by day, a break dancer at night. How do you balance those two worlds?
Balancing the two, it's very interesting. Well, for one thing, running around the restaurant and dancing, it allows me to eat whatever I want because of burning all the calories. But it is two different worlds. One, you know, it's basically serving people in a way where I have to deliver it a certain way. And then with dancing, it's also serving people, but it's a lot more expressive. I get to, you know, I don't have to just like be a certain way. I can tell them also to free. That's the whole point of the dance, is to find your own style, you know, and that's what I really love about it. For the kids, they go to school, there's all these rules, but there's a place, it's basically play. They get to play, and that's what I enjoy about it, yeah.
So, speaking of enjoy, you have a nickname. People know you by Mike Holy Fire.
Yeah. Yes.
You're walking down the street and people say, Holy Fire.
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
How did that come about?
So there was a competition a long time ago that I entered, and I always entered before as just Mike Lee. Everybody else had a name, you know, and I was like, oh, I better sign up this time with a name. And I just basically, you know, I have my Christian faith and I prayed about it, and then that's what came to mind. I believe that's what I feel like was spoken to me, and so I signed up as that, and ever since that, everybody calls me that, not just in the dance circle. Like anywhere I go, I'll hear that and I'll turn my head. And it's usually for me, unless they're like, you know, saying it for like a song or something. But
The name of our show is Inspire You and Me. Mike Holy Fire, what inspires you?
well, you inspire me very much. People like you, Jessica, people, just a lot of friends and people I'm around, just people who honor people, and just this whole theme of honoring people on what they do and sharing how they serve the community. And so I'm around a lot of that. I have so many friends that I can name, but I just really like people who pour back in. You know, there's a famous dancer that I look up to. His name is B-Boy Crumbs, and I always looked up to him, and what he said was, there's people who can just take from the table. You know, there's people who come in and they just learn dance moves or whatever, or there's people who feed, you know, there's people who create new things so that other people can join in collectively. And so that's what I always think of, you know, with this dance or just in life. That's what inspires me. People who allow other people to take from the table as well and provide, you know, so that everybody can enjoy it together.
Mike, in closing, what else is it about you that you'd like us to know that you haven't already shared?
The show basically Inspire You and Me. It's all about positivity. And my life, you know, I try to be positive, but I guess what I share about myself is it wasn't always that way when I was younger, but I believe, like I've been sharing my Christian faith, for me, Jesus, you know, brought me out of that depression. And from that point, from a young time to now, it's basically shaped my life. And so that's what I wanted to share is just, you know, we all have certain things that we feel empty about. But for me, coming to my faith, that's what really changed everything and transformed it. So
you suffered from depression when you were younger?
Yes,
For how
yes.
many years?
I'd say it was a few years, a lot of different things with family and issues. But I remember when I did go out and start hearing about the gospel, that's when I came to Christ. And like the night that I came to Christ, instantly all the depression lifted like that. And I was really confused because it was so immediate, and it hasn't come back to that level since then to now. You know, my Christian faith is a very strong value in my life, and so I do some preaching with youth, and even with the dance, you know, I just really involve that with ministry. I dance at my church. It's very awesome. We get to worship, not on stage, but, you know, in the crowd, you know, because there's a lot of people, you know, or traditionally you just sing, but I just believe that in faith and everything that you do in life, I just feel like you should really be able to put yourself out there and do what you love to do. And so that's what I love to do is dance. So I use it anywhere I go. At the restaurant, cautiously, I don't want to kick anybody, but you know. So
Yeah, I mean, I ate in your restaurant. I don't want your head in my face, but you know what? I like you anyway.
Yes. So,
Mike, thank you so much for being a guest on our show. You are living your dream. You're doing what you love to do. You're putting your love and your skill and your talent out there to the world. I wish you continued success.
thank you.
When you feel like Vegas, there's just one place to stay. Grab a drink at the Holo Holo Bar, there's just one place to play. Find it at the Cal. We got a fresh, hot look, a new sports book. We got those local meals, just like Auntie cooks. Aloha spoken here. Bet you find it at the Cal.
Look now at thecal.com.
We hope that you've enjoyed our show this week. I'm going to leave you with a rich thought for the day. Wisdom is the quality of having good judgment and also experience. A wise person can also have a calming influence on others during some challenging times. Think about it. Until we meet again, I'm Jessica Lani Rich. Take care.
Oh, my, it's a beautiful world. I like surfing Waikiki. I like to paddle out beyond the white breakers, where a man can still be free, or a woman if you are one. Yes, I do like surfing Waikiki. My, it's a beautiful world. My, it's a beautiful world. Oh, my, it's a beautiful world. My, it's a beautiful world.
The hardest thing in life is letting go of a loved one. Finding the right provider can be essential in your time of need. Celebrate your loved one with Ballard Family Mortuaries. We offer a full range of cremation and burial services on Oahu, Maui, Hilo, and Kona, with professional guidance and specialized attention you can trust at the most affordable cost. Call us today for a free consultation on funeral service options available to you and your family. Ballard Family Mortuary Group, serving Hawaii since 1997.